Welcome back to Square Off. We are in the home stretch to the primary election, setting the stage for the November vote. Polling tells us how the Republican statewide field appears to be shaking up. Our politics panel steps in to size them up. Is the emerging Republican ticket a Trumpist dream team and a Democratic dream team? Joining us, our Democratic consultant, Tony Connie of Slingshot Campaigns, and Trey Terry, Goodyear City Councilman and conservative consultant. So I'll start with you. Does the polling that you just heard make sense to you? Does it seem like it's realistic? We know the issues with polling. What's your take?
I will say in one of the races it does. The gubernatorial race, every poll out there seems to show the same story. And I know we've talked recently and before. I think the biggest story there is Andy Biggs is clearly not running against other Republicans right now. He's running against Katie Hobbs. At least that's the messaging from his campaign. That's how he's portraying himself. When it comes to these other races, there's polling all over the place showing some candidates up by a few points, other candidates showing the other candidate up by a few points. But the undecideds, even though most people have probably already voted by now, the undecideds are still almost half the electorate. These races down ballot can go anyway, and it's really up to who can close.
Makes sense to you? Especially the time horn.
I hope these polls are right. It'd be great. It'd be great for Democrats because there's a lot of candidates there that don't have a lot to sell to a general election audience, especially statewide. I think that this is a new polling firm. I don't even know that percentage of people know that there's a treasurer race that's even happening. So I think that when it comes to these more down ballot races, it really is a total crapshoot. But again, it would be excellent if these were the nominees for the Republican Party. I think they'd have a tough time selling themselves to a general election audience.
So you think this is a dream team for Democrats?
Sure, absolutely, I do. I mean, you have a superintendent of public instruction candidate who is running simply because she wants ESA spending to be unfettered. That's the reason she's running against Horn. She wants there to be no restrictions, no limitations, and that's not where the people are. And so it might be where the Republican primary voters are. It's not where the people are, and I think that's going to hurt her in the general if she wins.
I would just warn you against, be careful what you wish for with the registration advantage that Republicans have in this state. We saw that going as far back.
Well, we're going to get a Republican no matter what. So
Hillary Clinton won to Donald Trump in 2016, and she got it.
So, and just talk about the registration advantage, because I think what I'm seeing is independents going like this, and Democrats and Republicans going in falling, although Republicans have had a significant advantage.
Yeah, and it's that last point that I would point you to, is Republicans do still have a registration advantage. And when it comes to performance, Trump won the state by, 6-7 points last time. Yes. Ruben Gallego still won the Senate race, but there's that fundamental down ballot lean towards Republicans in this state that, Democrats will have to overcome in what may be a favorable year to them, but they still have several points that they need to overcome. So I'd just say, be careful what you wish for, and worry about your own primaries.
All right, I will. Actually, it's good advice.
Let's move on to Turning Point USA and Tyler Boyer in particular, longtime Turning Point USA leader, kind of making some news this past week. He now oversees its political arm. He was rebuked for a racist remark on X to Republican lawmaker Quang Nguyen of Prescott. Prescott, I know how it's pronounced.
Welcome to Arizona.
Boyer asking Nguyen, quote, "Can you speak English?" You see that retort to something Nguyen said. Nguyen kind of blowed off and told Boyer to kick sand. What is going on there with TPUSA, a solid Republican a lawmaker? What do you see going on?
It's really that. It's, Turning Point supports few candidates. It's not really based on any sort of scorecard. It's based on who votes exactly the way they want to, or pushes certain bills or kills certain bills that they want. Quang Nguyen is a fantastic, solid, conservative legislator, but he's one who actually gets bills through. He's one that actually accomplishes stuff for his Yavapai County district. Nick Cupper is somebody that they went after recently as well. He's out in the West Valley. Same thing. He's newer Air Force veteran, but he actually accomplishes stuff for his district. He gets stuff through the legislature, unlike most of their supported candidates who show up and vote no.
And so here you had Tyler Boyer going after an Asian American lawmaker. Not too long ago, Tyler Boyer was defending another Asian American office holder, Kimberly Yee, endorsed by Turning Point, defending her from attacks that he said were racist.
Yeah, it's almost like he doesn't have any sort of a moral compass at all that is determining whether or not he's supporting candidates or defending people who are, being attacked with racist tropes and racist statements. And so I think what we're seeing here is that the shine has come off a Turning Point with Arizona Republicans. And I'm not great at speaking for Republicans, but they've lost a lot of races that they said they were going to win. It's not the most important race, but the big water board. They put a lot of money into the SRP water board elections, and it really fell flat. And they are not as scary, I hope, to Republicans as they once were. And so hopefully they're going to be able to push back against some of these types of actions, which aren't new. This isn't the first time he has been called out for saying something racist on Twitter or doing something like this. And so, hopefully the hold that Turning Point has on the Republican Party is starting to fade away. Be good for the state.
And you mentioned Nick Cupper. He got into it on Twitter with Tyler Boyer. He wasn't scared, as Charles Barkley would say, right? Not at all.
No.
And so, and their numbers, most of those candidates whose names are leading, the candidates leading in this polling, are turning back by Turning Point USA, except one, Warren Peterson. Now, they wouldn't back Rodney Glassman in the AG's race. Why aren't they endorsing Warren Peterson? Any insight?
I will not speculate on that. I will just say Warren is Senate president. They go after Speaker Montenegro. They go after folks in leadership, and part of that is because they aren't in leadership. And there are probably reasons underlying that would explain that. I would say Warren, being Senate president, has to make tough calls. He's shown that he can get budgets through, solid conservative budgets. He can get legislation through, solid conservative legislation. And if you go to his record before he was in leadership, nobody can argue with his conservative credentials. So, I would say that's not necessarily a bad thing for President Peterson, but at the same time, it's not like he's some rhino liberal, somebody that Tony would find appealing.
It goes to show that you can push as many conspiracy theories about the 2020 election as you want. You could run an audit. You could do all these things that Warren Peterson did. The whole Cyber Ninja deal that these Turning Point people were really behind, and it's not enough for them. So who knows what it is, but we'll see.
All right, we shall see. Finally, we're going to end on data centers. The new state budget freezes tax breaks for 3 years. Stacey Bartschenger of the Arizona Republic reports that, not surprisingly, data centers are rushing to get the tax break before the new ban takes effect. Now, Governor Hobbs claims this freeze on the tax break will deliver cash to social programs. Why are you laughing?
It's kind of a fundamental misunderstanding of economic development, that you are going to save money that would not exist except for this development. It's funny, there have been over 100 applications in the last 2 or 3 weeks for data centers, when there have been just over 100 over the last 10 years. Keep in mind, this is an incentive that Governor Hobbs voted for when she was in the legislature. It was bipartisan support then, and right now it's become a nice boogeyman and a campaign year. This is a 3-year moratorium, allegedly, but I have not heard anyone in the data center industry that's really upset by it, because it just simply does not have teeth. You have a whole bunch of applications being rushed in right now, so they're being grandfathered in, and these projects take multiple years. These projects will take 5 years. So what if there's a 3-year gap? And the governor and Democrats in the legislature traded that moratorium that really has no teeth to full implementation of the Trump tax code, the tax cuts, the things that Republicans were asking for.
They might not be worried about it in a way that says that maybe they don't need the cut, right? That if they're not worried about it, they didn't need this incentive. That's something when you're doing economic development in the city. These incentives are supposed to be for people who need them, otherwise would not be able to develop their project. It seems that they're going to be able to develop it without that. I don't know how much actual revenue this generates for the state, these projects. I don't think they generate a ton of money. And so I think what's happened here is that they might be a boogeyman, but it is a sign of an electorate that is very frustrated with the wealthiest people in America getting benefits from government that they don't need. And in an economy that might be taking away their jobs as automation and AI stuff comes. And so it is a good boogeyman, but it undercuts, it underlies a real anxiety that voters of both political parties have about the future of our economy in America.
Okay, and we haven't even touched about the water and power. We'll leave that for another day. Tony Connie, Trey Terry, thanks so much for joining us.
All right, thanks, Ben.
And that's our show for this week. Thanks very much to all of our guests, and thank you so much for joining us. See you back here next week for another round of Square Off.